This week on Spooky Coop, episode 32, we're diving into a chilling story of friendship, curiosity, and the unexplained. Picture this: two adventurous young friends, a cozy trailer, and a Ouija board they just couldn't resist. What starts as a playful night takes a turn for the bizarre. Hi everyone, I'm Paul.
And I'm Michelle.
And you're in
The
Spooky Coop.
Welcome to the Spooky Coop. Hope you're not chicken.
Hi Michelle.
Hey, Paul.
How are you doing?
Not too bad. How about you?
Very good, thank you, and welcome everybody. And I understand you have a story for us this week.
I really do. Hey, first I want to sort of preface it. You know how sometimes people have seen like the Virgin Mary in a window, like where the waters drip down. There was like or like you
Toast.
Yeah, and you have Jesus on a toast, which is interesting because it proves he's not lactose intolerant.
I love pareidolia.
Not lactose intolerant. You know, he's not gluten free. Or
I believe what you're talking about is pareidolia.
Yeah, like you have
the
person who found the Cheez-It that looked like God, and they called it Cheesus.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, this is a story that has pareidolia in it. Okay, I just wanted to get that out first, all right? This is a story that someone told me a long time ago. It was a girl that I went to school with, and when I bumped into her and she realized I was doing this stuff, she said to me, I have to tell you this story. I never told it to anybody, but now that I know that you'll believe me, I need to tell you this story.
Okay.
Okay? So she said, before I met you, I used to live in, and I forget what town she said. I know what town she said, but I don't want to say it. And she said that her parents were really religious, which I knew. And her best friend also went to the same church, and her best friend was very religious.
Right.
And she had a few other friends in the neighborhood. Most of them were pretty religious. They went to a very, very strict fundamentalist Baptist church. She didn't feel, that way. She was 10, 11 years old. It was hard for her. Kids, maybe they do, maybe they don't kind of rebel from their parents. Anyway, one of her friends from school, who wasn't that religious, was into horror movies and all that stuff. So one day she brought over a Ouija board. And she said she wanted to use the Ouija board to try to contact her dead grandmother.
Oh, I've had some experiences with the Ouija boards when I was a kid.
Oh, yeah.
When you play and somebody's always, it feels like somebody's pushing. Then there's
Somebody's
that one
pushing.
time when all of a sudden you see nobody's pushing and it's flying around the board.
Yeah, that's you and me. We'll play with a Ouija board without touching anything. Anyway, so they want to play with this Ouija board, but they're afraid they're going to get caught. And if they get caught playing with a Ouija board, I mean, spare the rod, spoil the child type situation's going to happen. So what they do is they're looking around, and she has a camper in the yard. Her parents, that's how I met her. We met her at a camping spot, and then I realized we went to the same school after she moved.
Right.
So they had a camper in the yard, and it was early in the winter, and the camper was all set up for the winter. The windows were covered, and the whole thing was all winterized. You couldn't really see into the camper. So when her parents were away at work and there was nobody around except for her brother, who was kind of into it, she got this key for the camper. And her friends and her got into the camper, and they got the Ouija board, and they started using it in the camper. Right? I mean, hey, wouldn't you?
Don't touch that. Don't touch it.
It's touching it.
Evil. Don't touch it, Mom and Dad. Poof.
Yeah. So anyway, they started playing with it. I need to contact my grandmama.
Yes.
Nothing happened.
No.
They just laughed and had a great time,
Right.
and probably ate stuff they weren't supposed to eat with mom and dad around.
3 tons of Cheetos.
Jesus, I can't even say it. Yeah. Anyway.
There's a reason.
Anyhow, they try and they try and they try. Nothing happens. At one point, though, they give up. They go eat. They have some lunch or whatever. And then they go back and they try again. As they're trying again, she tells her brother nothing happened. As she's trying again, she told me that when they were trying again, all of a sudden the camper started to rock and rock and rock. And they all were like yelling at her brother, "Cut it out, stop it, we know it's you, blah, blah, blah."
Right.
And then it stopped, so they figured it was her brother.
Mm-hmm.
That was it. So they picked up the Ouija board, cleaned up after themselves so they wouldn't get caught. And her friend went home with the Ouija board before her parents came home. They didn't think anything of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, she didn't say it was the next day, later that day. She just said later on. When they went, she was in the yard. They were looking at the camper to make sure that everything looked normal. The camper had a frosted glass window. And in the frosted glass window, which was just plain frosted glass,
Yes.
in the frosted glass window, now there was a face.
Ooh.
And so,
Spooky.
yeah, the frosted glass now had a frosted glass face in it. They were all looking at it, and the girl with the Ouija board screamed, "That's my grandmother's face." And she freaked out, and she ran away, never came back. And the girl I'm talking about was so terrified that now there was like Satan had cursed her trailer, and there was an evil spirit around her trailer.
An evil grandma story again.
Yeah,
Okay.
She prayed around it, and she went to church and prayed that the evil spirit would go away from her trailer, but the face never went away. She was so happy that in the spring, her parents decided that they wanted a better camper, so they traded that one in, and they got a better camper before they went out camping, so she never had to go in it again. Mm-hmm. And so she figured that God heard her prayers anyway. But that was what she told me was her experience, and I thought that was something else.
Yeah, I think that pareidolia is a very interesting subject. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just look at a cloud and you see a face, and sometimes you look at a cloud and you see a face. It truly makes you wonder if something or it makes me wonder, I should make it more, it is my personal opinion.
Mm. You have a lot of those, so
yes,
do I.
Yeah, and issues. We're all like that. We all have
all
personal
have issues.
opinions and issues. We're just
We're
like readers.
like a podcast. You get new issues every day.
Yeah. Like Reader's Digest. Everybody gets new issues every week.
I don't think people even know what Reader's Digest is anymore.
Oh, everybody must know somewhere.
I don't think so.
They can all Google it. I have wondered if the non-physical seeks to find a way to communicate with the physical, and by that I mean non-physical intelligence, spirits, the dead, those who have passed from this earth, and not just that, maybe spirits, angels, whatever you want to call them, can look for ways for us to understand or think about something by using the physical world and the shapes in the physical world. I know that sounds a little bit overly esoteric. I don't mean it to be that way. But when you see a face or a shape of something that is meaningful in your life, either whether it's in the shape of a tree trunk or clouds are a wonderful example, or smoke. Smoke is an incredible example. Smoke can take, and especially pictures of smoke, can take remarkable forms where you can see and create in your mind these pictures, these faces.
Remember the picture, the unedited picture of that evil face coming out of the 9/11 out of the building?
Yes, and that is a collective perception of pareidolia that is remarkable.
It's very clear.
And it's very clear, that face right afterwards. It just seemed so evil, this face, like something so dark was just so exhilarated by this horrible thing happened.
All that negative, horrible energy and all that energy of people panicking and dying.
Aren't we supposed to be happy here?
Yay.
Yes, let's talk about something
Let's not
happy.
talk about something. I didn't say yay because that happened. I'm saying trying to make myself be happy.
Yeah.
But anyway, we're talking about manifestations.
Manifestations, yes, from the non-physical to the physical. And I firmly believe that pareidolia is one of the ways that we should keep an open mind about as to how the beyond could try to talk to us or communicate a concept to us.
I got a question for you, Paul. If somebody died in your life, like when your parents passed away, and if the phone rang, like you're coming home from a funeral or something, and the phone rang, and the caller ID was just like not there, or it just said 00000 or something like that, would you answer it?
Probably not.
Why?
Probably not. Well, I screen all my calls. I figure it's going to be a telemarketer first thing. But if it's...
What if you got the feeling that it might be like somebody,
my mother or my father?
Yeah, somebody that just came back from the funeral.
It wouldn't surprise me.
But I mean, if you had a really weird feeling that it was the person that you had just been at their funeral, would you have answered it?
Probably not.
Yeah.
I would be a little bit unnerving. Yeah. I know something like that happened to you.
Yeah. Just last month, I got a phone call. It was all zeros, and I thought, oh, darn telemarketer or something. And I was going to answer it and do one of those fake outs,
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden, I heard my mom say my name, and it was clearly my mom, and she said something only my mom would say.
I know that you can hear things on the phone. We did an episode way back about the ghostly telephone calls that I received. Right.
It
was about the lamp, the story about the possessed lamp, the haunted lamp. And I was able to verify with the people whose voices that were calling that they did not call, and it was more than one person.
Yeah, maybe
people
sometime,
who did not know each other.
Maybe in the future we can redo that one and add more details or something.
Yeah, that was an amazingly strange.
Yeah, go back, find it, guys, and listen to it.
Couple of months period, yes.
Yeah, go back and listen to it. It was absolutely amazing. Anyway, I was like, Mom, can you hear me, Mom? And she said something else. I could barely hear her. And then all of a sudden, the phone just was blank.
She ran out of spiritual quarters.
Yep.
Hit the payphone in creation.
Hi.
Why can't
Will you accept a collect call from the netherworld? Has anyone ever had a phone call from the dead? You know who did? Dean Koontz. The writer, Dean Koontz.
He received a call from the dead.
Yeah. I can get the details for you, but you can find them online.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yep. He got a phone call from his dead mother that warned him to be careful. His father was in a nursing home. I believe, if I have the story right, his father was in a nursing home with dementia. And the phone call made him aware that he had to watch out. And when he went to see his father attacked him. If he didn't get the phone call, he would have got hurt really badly, possibly die.
But back to telephone calls from the dead and those from beyond. If any of you have any experiences like that you would like to share with us, we'd love to hear them.
Or if you got any phone calls from skinwalkers from the dead.
Skinwalkers from the dead?
Well, we were talking about skinwalkers.
In the previous episode.
Oh, in the previous episode. That's right.
They're animals, dear. They're not going to talk to you.
Hey, it could be worse.
You might hear a growl on the other end, then you're going to wonder, is it a demon? Is it an animal? How are you ever going to tell?
Well, it could be a very interesting...
Or a disgruntled relative.
An old boyfriend?
Goodness.
What were we talking about?
On that note, dear, I think that we have...
We were talking about
course.
my friend. We were talking about my friend in her camper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, and the face that she saw.
I should tell them about the time you took me camping, and you said, "Don't worry, there aren't any bears there." And when we woke up, there were big bear prints all around our tent.
Shh! Tell no one. Yes.
I won't tell anyone.
Yeah, the great survivalist outdoorsman. Anyway, folks, I think that wraps up our episode for this week. Please send in any stories that you'd like to share send it to Spooky Coop, all one word, at gmail.com. I got it right this episode. Send it to Spooky Coop, all one word, at gmail.com.
That's right.
Please hit the subscribe and follow button.
Mm-hmm. Tell your friends about us.
Please like us. So for the rest of the week, ladies and gentlemen, young people and old, be safe, be happy.
No matter what dimension you live in.
No matter what dimension you live in, we wish you a week of hope and wonder.
and
Until
everything else.
next time, when we see you
In
the Spooky Coop.